All right, welcome. I am Austin Bumkamp. I'm going to be giving a demo run through of some of the EOS features. There's going to be three main videos. There's going to be an intro, so that will cover a bunch of things like basic navigation, using files like save, open, talk about merge and export, things like that. Also, layout and stuff, getting to understand how to set things up so that they're beneficial to how you want it set up. So that is what we are going to cover in this first video. So once you get the software installed and set up and going, you may come into the software looking like this. It may look a little bit different. It doesn't really matter too much. So we are going to jump into two things right off the bat. And the first two things is live and blind. There's two kind of states in which we work within EOS, and that is live and blind. Live is anything we're changing within live we can see on stage or in augmented in real time. So as we change something, we can see it. Where blind is doing it in the background. We can edit cues, change intensity of lighting fixtures, and anything like that. But we won't see that in blind or while we're working in blind. We will not see that on stage. We'll see the changes take change or shift within the software, but we will not see it visually until we get to that cue or whatever is programmed. So you can do like pre-programming and stuff within blind. So if you're sitting in a queue waiting for your next cue, you can work in blind without changing what's on set. So two kind of ways in and out of blind. So and live is we also will be referring to this pop-up menu or virtual keyboard a lot. So if you're working with a actual lighting console, these buttons should be very similar and work very close to the same. So we have live blind up here. You can also see that they have a shortcut of a F1 and F2. So if I hit blind, we notice that the entire screen goes blue. Blue means blind. So anything we change in anything within here is not currently going to be displayed on stage unless it's in the queue or a few finicky things like that. So if we remember F1 was live, we go back to that. We have this gray and yellow aspect to look with. This is live and blind. You want to be aware of which ones you are working with at any given time, because how you type things into the command line will drastically affect whether you're in blind or live. So most of the time you will likely be working in live, but there are some options where blind will be beneficial. Next is I want to point you towards the arrows. There's two kind of arrows on the screen. We have an arrow here that when you click on pops up and down this menu here. And if we do the same on this other side, this pops up a different type of menu. So the one we are most likely more interested is the one on the right. Jumped to a weird thing. So sometimes you have to navigate kind of both of these at the same time. So if I were to click this up again, this arrow down gets rid of it. I have to bring it back, and then it's the browsing file systems that we are now kind of interested in. So there's a lot of different options in here. We have save, which will save the show, save as, which will save a additional copy or renaming and copy the show file, and we can pick where to put it into any of these files. We have open, so if we're loading from a USB or something like that, this is the option. Merge is kind of unique. You can take two shows and take certain parts from each show and merge them kind of into one. So what you would do is open one show, make it an active show running, then introduce your USB or your other file through this, and you can pick whether it's focus palettes, cues, or anything like that. Merging allows you to definitely take different attributes from different shows and merge it into one. So whether it's cues or anything like that, cues, focus palette, color palettes, effects, anything you can copy and kind of merge them together. Exporting allows you to take different information and export it into different things, whether it's augmented or a bunch of other things like that. And we're not going to get into either the merge, export, or import today. Those are all just things for pulling from other show types. So we have a bunch of other settings down here. For right now, we're not going to deal with or change any of those. Those are for later, things like that. So a few things that I do want to talk about is the save and save as and that kind of process, because it's little unique compared to other softwares. If we bring in this save button here and we hit enter, it'll ask, do you want to save this? You hit OK, and then it shows you this. This allows you, this part shows you how to change it. So we're just going to do test for now, or whatever you want to name it, and hit enter. It says successfully saved, and now we have it, and it shows it where it is saved on that. Now, if we wanted to make a new version or a copy of that, we can do save as. We could do the same folder or wherever this is located and hit enter again. And then it asks you all the information. You hit save, you can do save to. Now you can see that there's two different files here. If I were just to click save and hit OK, a shortcut for save that I recommend you using is shift update. So you hold the shift and hit update, or on a keyboard it is U. So if you're here, shift and update, and it saves. Open works very similar. You double click, it asks you what you want to load in, and you can tell it not to load certain parts of the show or anything like that. But if you're like downloading from a USB or something to a console, you can do it this way and open it through that. All right. New obviously just makes a new show file. So if I do new, do you really want to create a new show? Yes. Now it's back to untitled. So a blank show with nothing in it. Next, I am going to take you through kind of layouts and different screens and talk about the different screens. So we have a bunch of tabs down here with a bunch of different options that if we click on them, they show us different things. So we have the live table, which shows us what active fixtures are up or doing things. We have PSD, which is our queue list and all the information about our queues. Augmented is our virtual visualizer that not every lighting board will have, but every modern computer, or if you download it onto your PC, will likely. You have the virtual keyboard. You can set it up as a constant window. So if you have a touchscreen or something set up, you can utilize that. And then if not, you can also click up here and select that in the same way. So these two things are the same. There's just different ways of doing that. And then there's other stuff that takes you into blind. We're not going to get to that right now. So first, the next thing before we jump into more specifics on each of the views, or talking about more views, I want to talk about layout. So right now we have one kind of window here that is just showing one thing, so live table. We can actually choose how to arrange those. So we can go up to here. There's 3 kind of saved versions or looks that you can have. So right now we have the saved number 1, where this allows you to jump and look at all the queues, or not the queues, the channels. We can jump into 2. Right now there's no windows here, so we want to actually hit the plus, and now we can pick what window we want there. So whether it's ML controls, pixel mapping, color picker, augmented, PSD, which is our queue list, or any other kind of information we want, we can pick one of those. Let's pick color picker. So now we have color picker as a window. And if we go back to here, it has a default of this. If we go back to here, it has the default for color picker. Now there's another option beyond that. So right now we have one full window here, and we chose it as a color picker. We can go back and select this. This button selects this menu here, and we can choose a few things. We can do, these are layouts of multiple windows. So we can do 2 column, 2 rows, 3 columns, 3 rows, 3 tops, so 1 large top and 2 bottoms, 2 tops, 1 large bottom, left, right, all squared, horizontal, like a bunch of different things. So let's pick a 2 column. So it split it down the center. We can now pick like our queue list, our queue stack here, and get it here, and be able to see both of those at the same time. Within each, there's some minor adjustments that you can do. Like you saw me move the queue sheet here and move this. There's a bunch of other things within here that show up. So be aware of that when working with it. Depending on who you are, you will want different information through each part of this. Another thing, so we can go back, we can change this to, let's do a top and bottom. So I set this up sometimes similar to this, where this is the channel table where I see all my channels. And then I'll have this one. And now that we're here, I can change this to this is the queue stack here. And I can change different settings on this to hide certain things or see certain things. So we have the master down here. Let's see if we can get rid of that. So if we remove that and go back, we got rid of part of it. So if we just do this, now it cleaned that up really nicely, and we can see more of our queue list here. So each one of these has options and things. Customize it how you think you'll use it. A lot of the times I will get rid of a good chunk of these. I don't use preheat very often or stuff like that, so I'll turn those off in most cases. Rate and curve and loops and links, I usually don't use. I don't usually use links or loops. Labels I do want. Notes sometimes I do use, and a few other things here as well. So make it what you think you will use for your show. And then we can go over here and we can pick other things like color picker. So now we have our channels that we can see. And I kind of want to get rid of other things here. So if we just do that, now we have a big up here, and then we have all these options, so we can do that. So now we have our channel list, our queue list, a color picker for all of our different channels. So another version of this, so we can go back, it's 1, and then this is 2, a different look that we have saved. And then this one is another way we can set up, is we can go like this and select this option. This option allows us to build our space how we want to. So if we want a short window over here, and then, oh, we want to split these, but this one can be slow. And actually, I want, oh. So we have this, then we split, we bring this down. I'm like, oh, I want this, but this can move over to here. You can set it up however you want and play around with it, get used to it. And then once you're done, you can go in and add the different things. So your cue list, color picker. I use magic sheets a lot. So where are magic sheets? So here, and then this could be something else like submasters. My bad. And you can have control of all those and set it up how you think you're going to use it and utilize it. So now we're going to go in and talk about each one of the devices a little bit, or views or windows, I mean. So your first one is your live table, and usually that's a default window that pops up right away, along with your PSD and maybe one or two other things. And you can remove these and close these on which ones you want. If you ever lose something, you don't actually lose that information for the show. There's no deleting it that way. You actually have to physically choose to delete things. But so if I were to go in here and do a bunch of things, or go in here and hit accidentally delete this, so close tab, close all tabs but this one, or something like that, where I have Park open and then I accidentally close all tabs, and then I'm like, oh no, I lost my show. No, you didn't lose your show. You just closed the windows to see the information for it. So don't panic for that. So first one is your live table. This one shows you all of your channels. What intensity, what information, what color, what focus, what mixing, all the different attributes within that. One of the other ones that I will suggest is the color picker. Color picker is great for LEDs, moving lights. You can easily go through all of your colors here and adjust them nicely. You can also pick from some of the colors here, and it jumps around the color wheel. Keep in mind that these colors that you are seeing on screen may not match your actual lighting output, because what the fixture is what is happening is the software is sending a number based on the color you pick. So if we pick this color, I don't know if I can get the actual buttons for it to show me the color mixing. Oh, I need a fixture for it. But it gives actual numbers, and those numbers will be the same between two different fixtures, and each fixture will understand or output a light that may be close to it or may be completely different. It varies depending on that. So I don't know how accurate all of the actual label colored are to actually that, but like I said, it differs per fixture, and this is just the software's best guess of getting it close. So work with it and adjust it as need be to what you want it to do. Another one, we'll just go through this, is augmented. Augmented is amazing for being able to work ahead of time, taking your notes home. Something I've been trying to implement and work on is, instead of staying in the theater or trying to get to the theater in a time that is beneficial for me to be in there, but not also taking up the space for other people's not to work, is using augmented. I'll save the show file to a USB if I set it all up right correctly in the beginning. Augmented will be already set up. I can go home, do the notes that I'm interested in doing, bring it back, upload the new show file, and have all my notes done without being in the space. This is so much nicer. You don't have to be in a dark theater by yourself doing notes. You don't have to stay up late because you don't have access to the space on normal times. I've been working on trying to get this set up for all of our spaces. So this is a great tool. I may put out a complete tutorial on augmented later. So effects channels are for effects and stuff like that. We're going through manuals. I'm just kind of showing the ones I usually use. Park, not usually. I use Park for very specific things. Park will, if you put any channel or address within this, it will only be at that address. It will not change. So if you're like, I need to make sure these channels never turn on, it can be good practice to go in there and actually park them at 0, which means they will never get power and cannot be overwritten through the EOS. There's other networking things that can happen that can cause issues, but the board itself will never tell that fixture or device to turn on. We mentioned color picker. Channel table we talked about. It's your live table. Encoder maps, these don't need to deal with. Patch, we'll get to patch in a bit. Command history if you need to back up. Channel use is very similar to live table or channels. It just kind of shows you which ones are in which queues and things like that. I don't usually use this. All right, and then fader list display, not usual. Pixel maps, I will a little bit. When I set up a show for pixel mapping, I will dive into it, but pixel maps are kind of, once you get them set up and going, they are set and you just need to adjust them. So direct selects is a amazing tool to utilize. It's able to quickly grab and select multiple different devices or presets or saved focus positions or colors or anything like that. This utilizing these will make you a faster programmer. So I'm not going to get them into them right away, but they can be very beneficial if you're trying to really up your game for speed. Then we have color palettes, very similar to direct select. Focus palettes, also same presets and stuff like that. Let's see, PSD is our queue list. So we have a lot of different things within here. We have our queue, we have our time of a queue, we have our focus time, color time, beam time, duration, a bunch of other things, follow, hangs, link, loop. So I think the next video I will cover, actually in video 3 I will be covering queues and stuff. Video 2 will be patching. That one will be rather short, but to the point. All right, we are almost done. I just want to make sure I touch on anything. Faders are beneficial. I always set up a fader for house light or something like that, or a what I call like a panic button, where if you need lights on stage because there was an accident or emergency, you can either hit the button or send a slider on the board up and the house has lights. Anybody who needs lights has the lights they need. It's also great for when you're programming and working on during tech, where you can either sneak the house lights on just a little. You can set them up to not be recorded into them and stuff like that. So as you're recording, none of the submasters get save into your queues. And there's a whole bunch of other options. You can build effects based on queues. You can program off of them. But I mainly use it as a house slider. The last two I want to touch on are lamp controls and ML controls. So ML controls, you see nothing is visible right now. That's because there's no fixtures selected. In order for the ML controls to work, it needs to have something selected. It won't just edit what you want it to. You have to tell it what to edit. For example, we patch channel 1. So if I select channel 1 and hit enter, it brings up all of the different settings for this fixture. This is a Mac Aura, which is a moving head fixture that is more of a wash style fixture that is also color changing. So you have a bunch of different options here. You have pan and tilt, You have focus, different ways of focus. You have all your colors, and this shows me that it's a red, green, blue, white LED mixing system. There's different effects and things like that. Size and focus and all this. So all of this can be edited, changed, and queued or recorded in a queue. So this is really great for adjusting moving lights and smart fixtures. I use this a lot. It is also up here. So if you are back in this view and you're trying to edit a moving fixture or something like that, you can select channel 1. And then instead of going to a different screen or having that screen always up, you can bring this up, do what you need, and then jump back out of it by just clicking out of it. So we have pop-up ML controls. And then we also, the other popular one is the pop-up virtual keyboard. So these are all great options. There are other things up here, but these two are ones I use. For the next thing is I want to show you where you might go to lamp on a fixture or a device that needs other things or just a few of the beam options. So you want to select your fixture or a group of fixtures that need a lamp on. So what a lamp on means, or a fixture that needs to be lamped on, is a fixture that when it is lamped on, the light stays on for the entirety of the run, but it uses a dowser or other system to actually adjust the brightness. So it stays fully bright the entire time. This allows it to be brighter and not have as much stress on it with the up and down of like a normal conventional fixture. So you'll select your fixture and then you will go up to your virtual, excuse me, your virtual keyboard or your keyboard, and then you hit about. This brings up a bunch of options. Usually it'll be here. And then it tells you a bunch of other different information and things like that. If you go to lamp controls, this is where you will find lamp on and lamp off. Please do your research on lamping on and lamping off fixtures, how long they need to cool down, things like that, so you're not burning out fixtures and that. So this is not any advice for that, but this is where you would go to do so, to lamp a fixture on or off. Please look at your manufacturer's recommendations for how long before use or after use before completely powering off the device. But this is the last kind of thing I want to touch on for this very basic on like the navigation and setup of the software. Thank you.